The cry of Dylan Shoemaker, a young man's tragic descent. It began on an ordinary evening in Springville, New York, one that held no premonitions of the tragedy about to unfold. 16-year-old Dylan Shoemaker, tasked with babysitting his girlfriend's 23-month-old son, was left alone in the modest home he shared with his parents. By the time the night was over, the air would be heavy with grief, and lives shattered beyond repair. The child, young Austin Smith, was just a few months shy of his second birthday. His cries that evening, as any child's, were ordinary. But Dylan's frustration quickly escalated. Unable or unwilling to soothe the toddler, he struck out in anger. The blows were fatal. By morning, Austin was dead, his small body bearing the silent testimony of unthinkable violence. When the case went to court, the details were chilling. Dylan claimed he never intended to hurt the child, insisting it was all a terrible mistake. But his words betrayed him. A phone call recorded while he awaited trial revealed his chilling confidence: "I'm a 16-year-old blonde. All I have to do is cry in front of the jury, and they'll feel sorry for me." In the courtroom, Dylan played the part he believed would save him. He cried openly, his voice trembling as he apologized. "I didn't mean to kill Austin," he sobbed. "I didn't mean to hurt him." But the courtroom, filled with grieving family members, could see through the facade. To them, his tears were too convenient, too calculated. The judge, unmoved by Dylan's performance, read out the sentence with solemn finality: 18 years to life in prison. It was a far cry from the leniency Dylan had expected. As he stood there, his head hung low, the weight of his actions finally seemed to settle on his young shoulders. Yet, even as Dylan was led away in handcuffs, the courtroom remained divided. Was he a monster, a cold-hearted killer who manipulated those around him? Or was he a broken boy, a product of a society that failed to guide him, who lashed out in a moment of tragic ignorance? The story of Dylan Shoemaker is one that haunts long after the trial ended. It is a tale of innocence lost, of anger that spiraled into irreversible tragedy. For those who witnessed it, it serves as a chilling reminder that behind every crime lies a web of hidden struggles, unanswered questions, and the haunting echo of what might have been. Brandon Spencer, a Halloween that haunts forever. It was Halloween night on the bustling campus of the University of Southern California, where the air buzzed with youthful revelry. Costumed students flooded the streets, laughter and music filling the cool Los Angeles evening. Among them was Brandon Spencer, a 19-year-old who had come to a party on campus. But the festive atmosphere would soon be shattered by chaos and gunfire, leaving a scar that would never fully heal. At the height of the party, shots rang out, piercing through the crowd's laughter. Panic erupted. Some fled, others dropped to the ground, shielding themselves from the unseen danger. By the time the chaos subsided, 4 people were injured, and Brandon Spencer was in handcuffs, accused of attempted murder. The police had apprehended him half a mile from the scene, though Spencer insisted he had nothing to do with the shooting. Prosecutors painted a damning picture during the trial. They claimed the shooting stemmed from a bitter feud between rival gang members. Brandon, they argued, was a known gang member who had sought vengeance that night. Yet Brandon maintained his innocence, his voice steady as he told the court, "I'm not a bad person. I made a mistake." But what mistake? He never clarified. Nearly 50 family members and friends packed the courtroom during his sentencing, their faces tense with hope and fear. When the judge delivered the verdict, 40 years to life for 4 counts of attempted murder, Brandon's composure crumbled. He banged his head on the defense table, a visceral outburst of anguish. Deputies rushed to restrain him as the courtroom buzzed with a mixture of gasps and whispers. Brandon's reaction raised a question that hung in the air like smoke: was this the cry of a guilty man facing justice, or the despair of an innocent soul swept up in the unforgiving tide of the system? To his supporters, he was a young man wrongly accused, a scapegoat for the violence that plagued their communities. To the victims and prosecutors, He was a dangerous criminal who had recklessly endangered lives. The truth, as it often does, remains shrouded in the courtroom's shadows. What cannot be denied is the ripple effect of that Halloween night. For people bore the physical scars of gunfire, countless others carried the emotional weight of what they had witnessed. And Brandon Spencer, once a teenager with a future unformed, now spends his days behind bars. His life story rewritten in the ink of a single devastating night. For those who remember that Halloween, the echoes of gunfire serve as a haunting reminder of lives intersecting at the crossroads of violence, fear, and justice. And for Brandon Spencer, the question lingers: did he lose his freedom that night? Or had he already lost it long before?